Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Rebecca Zung. I'm a globally recognized attorney, a negotiations and high conflict communications expert. I'm also the author of Slay the Bully, How to Negotiate with a Narcissist and Win. And welcome. I invite you to subscribe and hit that notification bell if you're new here, because I'm here every single day giving you tips and tricks on how to fight back against that narcissist, whether you're dealing with them in a negotiation setting, a work setting, a family setting, whatever setting. I want you to become the most powerful version of yourself in dealing with narcissists or navigating high conflict situations and get a powerful resolution and become the most powerful version of yourself. They can come in a variety of different ways, whether or not it's a financial situation, whether for the kids, if you're in a family law situation. I want to help you with key strategies to understand how to effectively use expert witnesses to your advantage. A lot of times people think, oh, I only need them for court. I disagree with that. I think that honestly, if you have a really good expert witness, you can actually get your case bolstered, get it ready, and even use them and prepare what you have to get somebody to be motivated to want to resolve issues with you long before you get to that situation. You can even use their information in a regular negotiation. I was having a situation recently with a family member who wanted to sell their company, and I said, hey, go get your business valuated and then go and approach that person with a strong position, with a business valuation, so that that person will know that this is indeed the value of the business before you go there. So in other words, there is something where you can use that information from the expert to potentially influence what that other person was going to think or believe or be persuaded that way. So, expert witnesses can be useful, not just in legal battles, but in any kind of a negotiation, even pre-suit, hopefully, or pre-negotiation, so that the person can be persuaded, especially if they see the person's credentials, they understand that the person is neutral, if they feel like the person's neutral. Let's talk about psychological experts first. In some cases, let's say it's a custody situation. So what you want to do, and I talk about this in some of my other videos as well, which you can check out, is what you're dealing with is you're over here going, I don't want my kids with this other person, or maybe I don't want this person to have my kids 50-50 or whatever it is. Well, the first thing that I would say to you is, and I've had this conversation with a lot of clients over the years, and now I certify people in high conflict negotiation. And so, I would even say to the coaches that I train, if you're coaching somebody through a situation, if it's not 50%, the other person's not going to get zero. So where are you going to land on this? Are you going to land on 40%, 30%, 20%? Where are you going to land? And so how are you going to get to that number? And you've got to be able to support that number. And it's a whole lot easier if you've got a neutral third party who can help you get there. Otherwise, you're going to just sound like you are a controlling parent who just doesn't want the other person to have their kids. You really want somebody who's going to be able to say, listen, I am a psychological expert. I have visited both homes. I've done all the psychological testing on both parties. I've observed the children with both parties. I have interviewed piano teacher, the baseball coach, seen the children in both homes, or whatever it is. I've looked into the situation. I've really looked under the hood, and I understand what the context is. And then they also will do a report based on the factors in the statute. So the best interest of the child factors in the statute, because that's what the judge is going to be interested in. The judge is going to be interested in the law. You're over here based in emotion, and I love my kids and I want to protect my children, and I don't think this other person should have them because of X, Y, and Z. You have a lot of emotion wrapped up in it, whereas the judge has to look, how do the facts line up with the factors in the best interest of the child statute, which for your state, assuming you're in the United States, which I'm sure that if you're not watching this from the United States, wherever you are, whatever the equivalent is in your country for the laws around the children, you have to just look at the law as it applies to your particular situation. So in our country, every state has something called the best interest of the child, and that's the overall standard. But the law itself in each state, there's going to be factors, there's going to be elements within that statute. So, like I know in Florida, there's like 17 factors, okay? And each one of those is something that the court has to weigh. Every other state has a different number of them, but you have to weigh each one of them. And you take the facts and you apply them. How can you help? How can you help your psychological expert? By taking the elements of that statute. And I would just literally take a binder, take a Redwell, take, something, and start organizing all of your facts, all of your documentation according to the elements of that statute so that you have it all organized and ready to go. And that's what I help you do through my SLAY program, my proven blueprint, so that you can actually start putting it together, start lining it up, because you can always influence, you can always make your argument accordingly, because there's always going to be ways that you can fashion it and make it, there's always summaries you can do. And well, listen, there's a summary of lies, there's a summary of inconsistent statements, there's a summary of all the times they were late, all the, whatever it is, to say, hey, 58% of the time they said this, or so, yeah, 73% of the time they were late, or whatever. So you can sort of be able to influence what the person is seeing and see it through that lens. And so then that way they can evaluate, was there emotional damage? Was there stress that was put upon this child or this family or this person, or, whether it was you, if it's a different type of a claim that you're making. Maybe it's a work claim. Maybe it's that you were dismissed when you shouldn't have been, or whatever it is. But this way you can provide context. Whoever it is, the psychological expert can see the patterns of abuse and how it affected whoever the victims are over time. And then they can see the gaslighting, they can see the manipulation. But it's not just you coming in and saying it. This way, you're almost using this expert as your mouthpiece, but it's being supported by actual facts and documentation, and within the context of the law, which is what the judge wants to see and needs to see in order to make their determination. So that's a psychological expert. So anytime somebody says, I want psychological testing, they're not going to just do psychological testing. And I say that all the time without really good reason. But if you put something at issue that they need to have psychological testing done, like best interest of the child, now we're cooking. Now we're cooking with gas. That's a psychological expert, right? Is this making sense? If this is making sense, put makes sense in the comments below. Making sense so far. So that's psychological experts. The next one is financial experts. Financial experts can be used in so many different realms. Business situations, probate litigation, almost anything. Honestly, certainly in divorce cases, lifestyle, what somebody's true income is, child support. You need to know for even attorney's fees, a lot of times, need versus ability to pay. Financial experts are essential, especially in divorce, any kind of financial dispute, any kind of business valuation situation. What can a forensic do here? They can trace hidden assets. They can analyze financial statements. They can testify about the economic impact of narcissist actions. So they can uncover hidden assets. They can go to great lengths to do that. I know that narcissists, many times people think that they have been hiding assets, and many times they do. Offshore investments, concealing assets. I know many times in divorce, it's very pivotal in making sure that you know that you're getting a fair division of property, or you know what somebody's true income is. Here's the thing I'm going to tell you about that. You want to make sure you're getting a return on your investment. These kinds of financial experts can be expensive, especially if you're trying to trace offshore assets and you're going on this wild goose chase to figure out if somebody actually is making more money than they say they are, and they have got a cash business and all that sort of thing. So you really want to make sure that you're going to have a return on your investment with this. You don't want to chase good money after bad. A lot of times there's a much bigger fear than there actually is of what's actually been happening. So you just want to make sure that you are not into your head with a lot of this sort of thing. And you really do know, hey, I'm going to spend 20,000, but I'm going to recover 200 or whatever it is, or I'm going to spend 20 and I'm going to recover $1 million or something to that effect. Because, or at least like, I'm going to prove that they spent X amount, and that way I can put that amount on the spreadsheet and I'll get credit for that amount. Something to that effect. They can analyze financial statements, especially complex ones. I've had situations where, I've had corporate executives who've been working out of the country, or they have very complex ways that they get paid because of how their stock schedules get vested or things like that. It can be very, very useful and helpful for that. Definitely very, very helpful for those kinds of things. Quantifying and looking at future, how much somebody might be getting paid, that kind of thing, what their vested stock values are going to be. So that's financial experts. Tax impacts on things. Really, really helpful many times for financial experts. You really need them for that sort of thing, honestly. And by the way, if you're getting ready to negotiate with a narcissist, make sure to get my free Crush My Negotiation Prep Playbook. So helpful to get you started. You can get that at winmynegotiation.com. And join my free private Facebook group, Narcissist Negotiators with Rebecca Zung. Really, really helpful for you to have a support group. Next thing is medical experts. Especially if you have had health issues, you claim you're actually, having issues because of the physical health that you've had. They can provide testimony about the impact, the severity of it. If you've had physical injuries, you might need medical experts to testify as to that, why you can't work, and explaining the severity if you have other issues, stress-related things, that sort of thing. Invaluable, because especially if you are asking for support of any kind. So if you guys have had to use expert witnesses for anything, I would love to know your comments. Remember, you can hire them for your own case. That would be your own expert, or you can go to the court and have them appointed as a neutral third party. If you do that and you ask the court to appoint one, my recommendation for that is that you bring 3 names that you're okay with, because then any one of the 3 are somebody that you're going to be okay with. Don't just say appoint one. Ask for who you might be okay with, if possible. Go ahead and share your stories in the comments of the expert witnesses that you have used. The next kind of expert might be like a domestic violence expert, who can testify as to the cycle of abuse, the cycle of power, the cycle of the impact on the victims. They can assess the risk. I haven't really used that kind of expert myself that much. Most of the time in domestic violence cases, they don't really go there, but you could try for that. The next one is technology and cybersecurity experts. In our increasingly digital world, technology and cybersecurity experts are becoming much, much more important in cases. They can look at threatening emails, they can look at computers, they can look at spyware, they can trace the sources of things as much as possible. It's really kind of a crazy world that we live in nowadays. And in my SLAY program, I do have a whole thing on tracking and hacking devices and spyware and all of that, and how you can detect it and how you can figure it out. So I definitely recommend that you check that out at slayyournegotiation.com. Protective measures so important nowadays. All right. So it's better to, get it on the front end and try to figure it out on the back end. Just saying. This is, just a few of the types of expert witnesses in narcissist abuse cases that you can use. There's so many other, really, there's all different types of experts that you can bring in, but those are like the main ones that I've seen. I would love to know what your experience is. It can really make a significant difference. I've seen bad ones. I've had to oust them right in the middle of trial sometimes because I found out they were supposed to be neutral and working with the other side. It's crazy. Have you ever met somebody, they started off to be the most charming, charismatic person you've ever met in your life. Then they turned out to be your worst nightmare. And then when you go to negotiate with them, they're a living hell. Well, I developed something called the SLAY method of negotiating with narcissists, and it has helped tens of thousands of people in more than 150 countries win, go from feeling drained and defeated to getting the outcomes they want. And the reason why it works is because I spent more than 20 years studying narcissism as a trial attorney, and now I'm here to help you win too, and also take your suffering and turn it into your superpower. Take your pain and turn it into profit, peace, and purpose as a highly specialized high conflict negotiation coach. If you want to learn how to do it, then just go to RebeccaZung.com/apply and I will show you how. You are going to court with a narcissist and you're thinking, I can't win, or they always seem to win, or they always get their way, or everybody seems to be duped by them, or the court system is unfair. I know, I've heard all of the things. Believe me, I know, because I've been around the court system for a long time. I've practiced law for a long time. I've been around the system for a long time. I've been in trials many, many times, hearings many, many times. I've seen all different shapes and sizes of clients, judges, all different types of opposing counsel, magistrates, all different types of proceedings. So I know what it's like. Okay. I've had narcissists as clients, unfortunately. I've had them as opposing counsel. And here's the thing that I know, that is that if you go into this situation thinking this court system is skewed, everybody's against me, the narcissist always wins, you will definitely lose. If you want to win your case, then you have to, first of all, have a mindset that you're going to win. And by the way, I'm Rebecca Zung. I've been recognized by US News as one of the best lawyers in America. And I've won a lot of other awards too. And if you're new here, welcome. I'm glad that you're here. I've also written a best-selling book, Slay the Bully, How to Negotiate with a Narcissist and Win. And I invite you to subscribe here and join us in this amazing and powerful community. Okay. Let me tell you, I know it doesn't seem fair a lot of the time. And, there's a lot of different reasons for that. The biggest reason is that you're kind of speaking different languages because you're kind of looking to the court system to right a wrong, because you had an idea in mind of what you thought life was going to be, whether it was with a person you were married to, or maybe it was a business situation, or maybe it was a probate situation, whatever it was. And so you're looking to the court system to right this wrong for you and make it fair, make it equitable. That's really not quite the job of the court system. The court system's job is to apply the law. And the law, it's like agnostic. For example, if it's a divorce situation, the law might say something like split the assets, make sure the kids get to see their parents, so that there's some kind of a plan in place that's in the best interest of the children or child. And in most states, that might be 50-50 nowadays. Let's see, let's make sure that the parents have some kind of decision-making authority around big time decisions like medical or education. And let's make sure that the parents pay for things for the kids like extracurricular activities or something to that effect. It's not like, let's make sure that we make Susie whole for the promises that Johnny might have made to her 20 years ago. Now Johnny she found out that Johnny's an asshole. And so let's make her feel whole about that. It's not the court's job. And so there's kind of like a disconnect about that, because there's like this emotional aspect of things, right? You also have kind of like this other agenda going on here, because the judge who presides over the court system, they have their own thing going on, which is most of the time they're overworked, underpaid. They are basically a government employee, if you think about it. They have way too many cases on their docket. They are evaluated, if you think about it, okay? They are evaluated. They are evaluated in terms of if they get appealed, are those appeals successful? And also they are evaluated on how many cases are on their docket and how quickly they move, and are they getting backed up and all that sort of thing. They are not supposed to have these cases back up on their docket. And that's why you have things like case management conferences. They're looking at, hey, this case has been languishing for a while, and what do we need to do to get this case moving, because we don't want this case to be open for too long. They're looking at things like that to make sure that the case is closed. What can we do to make sure that this case is going to be moved along? So what they're going to do is they're going to go, hey, do we need discovery on this case? Okay, let's make a deadline. Hey, do we need to set depositions on this case? All right, let's make a deadline. So they're going to make sure of that. So all that the judge cares about is that. They're not going to go, how can we help Susie with her plight about the fact that she got ripped off from the life that she was promised by Johnny? They don't care about that. And in fact, if it's a divorce situation or a custody situation, and it's a family court situation, let's say, or even probably a probate situation at this point, everybody has been using that term narcissist at this point. You're going to get the eye roll. You're going to get the proverbial eye roll if you try to use the term narcissist. Everybody uses those words. So what I'm going to say to you is that you're going to have to use other ways, other methods to expose this person in court. You're going to have to speak the language of the judge. What I would say to you is you're going to want to speak the language prior to that, because in my opinion, I would say to you, get to that narcissist before you even get to the judge. So in my SLAY method, which is what I teach in my courses and my certification, which is to help you so you can save money, save time, save headache, so that you can actually get what you want from these people. What you do is you actually get to them before you do that. You create leverage. But the best way you're going to do this is you want to get to them by getting them where it's going to hurt. All right. So you want to create leverage such that you are threatening a source of supply that's more important for them to keep than the supply that they get from manipulating you. So what is that? That is diamond level supply. So diamond level supply is their reputation. It's what is more important to them than anything, how they look to the world, right? So what's their diamond level supply? It's probably a number of things, but it's most likely, people that they work with or their bosses. It could be their fans if they're a celebrity, or it could be their children if they have adult children. It's definitely the judge in the case. So it could be a number of sources. Who do they not want to look bad in front of? It could be neighbors, it could be friends, high-end friends, or whatever. But it's who do they not want to look bad in front of? Then the next thing is cold level supply, which is you, which is manipulating you, getting that supply source from you. And then the next thing you want to do is take all of that and put it in terms that the judge, the court, is going to care about. What do they care about? They care about case law. They care about statutes. They care about the law. So you want to take your laws, your statutes, the law in your state, your jurisdiction, your country, wherever it is that you're watching me here from, take your facts and apply it to your law. How do you do that? So what I suggest that you do, and I teach all of this in my Slay course, by the way, which you can learn more about at slayyournegotiation.com, or I'm going to give you some free stuff here in a minute. You can start with free winmynegotiation.com. You can get a free Crush My Negotiation playbook at winmynegotiation.com. It's totally free. It's 15 pages. It'll totally help you. What you want to do is you're going to take your statutes, your case law, and you're going to create a binder or something. And you're going to take each one of the prongs of your statute. Let's say it's a best interest of the children's statute. Each one of those, that statute has, maybe 10 different factors, 17 different factors, whatever it is. And let's say one of them is which parent is more likely to foster a close and continuing relationship with the other parent. Let's say there's a text message that says, oh, mommy is a terrible parent or daddy is whatever. Then you take that text and you put that in that section of the binder. And now you are building your case. Now you can have summaries. Now you can have summaries of lies, summaries of inconsistency, whatever. And now you are starting to put it in terms of that statute, put it in terms of that law. And so now you're going to start speaking the language that the judge will understand. Understand? Get it? If you get it, I want you to put I get it in the comments below. So you want to understand the mindset of that judge. It can be a huge game changer when you are dealing with that narcissist. Okay? Documentation is key. I've had entire coaches who've done my entire program, who've actually created their own apps, all kinds of really cool stuff because they have won. I had one of my coaches say, he came up with his own phrase, which is, it's their word against your documentation, right? So when you understand how to do this, it's gold. You can't lose. It wins every single time. I've helped literally thousands of people all over the world in over 100 countries. It works. You take your patterns, you take your summaries, and it becomes all kinds of magical things for you. And it becomes so influential, and you don't even know what ends up coming from it. So in my program, I show you how to do it. I give you timelines, I give you templates, all kinds of really cool stuff. But start with the free. Start with winmynegotiation.com and you'll get super far with it. Losing weight can be tough, and I know how frustrating it can be to feel like nothing is working. And that's why I'm so excited to offer something really special for you that's truly helping people. Hers. Right now, everyone's talking about weight loss medications like GLP-1s, but you don't need to be a celebrity to access them. Through Hers, you can get affordable, doctor-developed weight loss programs designed just for you, whether it's GLP-1 injections like the ones in Ozempic or Wegovy or oral medication kits. Hers gives you the options to tailor everything right to your needs. What I love about Hers is that they make loss realistic and affordable, starting at just $199 a month with no hidden fees. Plus, you get the support of a medical provider to adjust your plan, answer questions along the way, all online and delivered right to your door. If you're ready for a weight loss solution that actually works, start your free online visit today at forhers.com/negotiate. That's FORHERS.com/negotiate for your personalized weight loss treatment options. Hers weight loss is not available everywhere. Compounded products are not FDA approved or verified for safety, effectiveness, or quality. Prescription required. Restrictions apply. I am a seasoned attorney. I have dealt with narcissists in court a lot of times. I've litigated against them for more than 2 decades. I know I started when I was 5, right? But I want to make sure that you know what not to do, or you will lose against that narcissist. So grab your pen, grab your paper, sit up, and take a listen, because I know what you want to make sure that you don't do so that you don't lose, or you don't end up spending years that you don't want to spend. You want to get your life back. You want to get your power back. You don't want to spend tons and tons of money that you either don't have or you'd rather not spend on a narcissist, right? They're trying to get all this supply out of you. They're trying to make your life miserable. You want to have your life back. You want to be able to breathe again. You want to be able to spend time with your kids or spend time in your business or just do anything other than this. Here's what I'm going to tell you. I'm going to give you 5 things not to do so that you don't lose against that narcissist. I'm Rebecca Zung. I have been recognized by U.S. News as one of the best lawyers in America. I have a best-selling book, USA Today bestseller, Slay the Bully, How to Negotiate with a Narcissist and Win. If you're new here, make sure that you subscribe, hit that notification bell. I also have a freebie for you, which you can get at winmynegotiation.com. Make sure you get that. That's my free Crush My Negotiation Prep Playbook. Make sure you get that. All right, so going to court against a narcissist is super challenging. Why? Because they never want to let you go. It's not just winning that they want. They want to be able to make your life miserable. That's that coal level supply. I call it coal level supply. Diamond level supply is just how they look to the world. But they want to keep you going. It's that sadistic piece. Things can turn really fast if you're not prepared. So here are 5 crucial mistakes that you must avoid to ensure you don't lose, right? So number one is avoiding emotional outbursts. And this is in person. It also is in writing. So remember, anything you put your hand to is a potential trial exhibit, and they're going to bait you in every possible way. They're going to try to pull you in, suck you in, drag you in every way that they can. So you got to be super careful about this, because if it's a custody thing, they're going to say you're a deadbeat dad, you're a horrible mom, you starved the kids, you didn't give them the right meal, you did whatever it is. They're going to try to paint you as unstable, unfit. They're going to provoke you as much as they can to try to trigger a reaction out of you. You can't go there, okay? If it's a workplace situation, if it's a boss, they're going to try to directly confront you. They're going to subtly dig you. They're going to bring up all kinds of painful things. They're going to smear you to other people, everything that they can to make you look unprofessional. That's what they do. Okay, so just expect it. Don't be like, oh my God, I can't believe they did that. Go, oh, well, there they go, being a narcissist again. Okay, that's what you have to do. So you have to document, you have to write things down, you have to take pictures, you have to keep correspondence, keep your text messages, keep everything so that you know, oh, there you go. Thank you for the gift. Thank you for letting me know that that's what you're going to be, and keep track of it all. Keep a timeline. That's what I help you do. That's number one. Number two is don't react. Don't react to the provocations. When they act like that, just be like that gray rock. When they provoke you in these situations, and they do their digs, they spread the false information, which you're going to be expecting them to do, right? I remember I had a client say, called me up, can you believe he did this? Can you believe he did that? Can you? And I said, yes, of course I can believe it. What I can't believe is that you can't believe it, because remember, you've been telling me this for years, that this is how he's been. So just expect it and just be gray rock. No, really? Oh, yes. Oh, interesting. Short little responses. You don't react, because any reaction strengthens their position. It gives them that fuel that they need. They are addicts. Remember, they are basically addicts. They're looking for that hit. That's what they're looking for. Don't give it to them. Anytime you become visibly upset, you start retaliating. Okay, now we're in it. Now you're there. That's what they want. Don't go there. So that's number two. Number three is do not rely solely on your word. Don't go into anything, any court proceeding, any mediation, any negotiation, thinking that your word is going to be worth anything, because narcissists are going to be very good at painting a picture that is different, and they will fashion something that sounds very plausible, and you better have solid proof to back up what your position is. That's why documentation is key. So if you're accusing them of abusive behavior, make sure you have text messages, emails, witness statements, timelines. Without concrete proof, it's just your word against theirs. And you want to have all kinds of evidence that shows that what you're saying is the truth. If it's a workplace situation, performance reviews, emails, witness testimonies, anything that's going to support your claim, because relying on your account is not going to be enough to just to sway a court. That's for sure. So if these tips are resonating with you so far, I want to know, and give this video a good thumbs up, and I'd love to hear from you. I want to hear yes in the comments. Give me a yes. Put yes in the comments. I want you to let me know what your thoughts and experiences are in the comments below as well. I want to remind you that I have this free Crush My Negotiation Prep Playbook. Grab that at winmynegotiation.com, because I want you to have something tangible that you can use to help yourself. All right, so number 4 is do not let the narcissist know what you're up to. Don't show your strategy. Don't show your leverage. I always say it's wise to use the element of surprise when you are dealing with a narcissist. It's wise to use the element of surprise. Narcissists are so skilled at finding your weaknesses and exploiting them. They will go for that vein. They will find that Achilles heel. They will look for your little place. And if you show at all what your cards are, they're going to find a way to attack it and bring it down. They will find a way to take your strategy and reframe it, take that narrative, take it and make it their own. Every single thing that you say will be taken out of context and reframed. So be very careful. They will always find a way to counteract it and turn it against you. And they're very good at making everybody believe their stories. So do not show your strategy or your leverage until you are ready and they are completely pinned in and that you have so much evidence against them that there's nowhere for them to run or hide. You don't want to discuss your legal strategy, even with mutual acquaintances, nothing on social media. They will use everything they can to their advantage. They are in constant survival mode, these people, and they will manipulate every situation in their favor. Okay, so be very, very careful. Business situation, a workplace situation, you have to maintain confidentiality. It is crucial. Don't trust anybody because any little leak, they're going to exploit it and undermine your situation. Number 5, you ready for number 5? Number 5 is do not expect fairness. You have to go on the offensive. No one is coming. There are no narc police in this world. No one's going to jump out in your living room at your workplace and go, hey, you can't do that. That's not fair. Narcissists play dirty and they'll do whatever it takes to win. That's what they do. Expecting them to act with fairness or act with integrity is a mistake. What comes out of their mouth is a lie. If they say, I just want what's fair, I don't want to, let's do this the nice way, that's going to be crap, okay? So, and it's going to cost you. So in divorce proceedings, a narcissistic spouse is going to hide assets. They will lie under oath. They will manipulate children to gain an advantage. Be prepared. Expect these tactics. Gather evidence to counter them. If it's a workplace dispute, a narcissistic boss will fabricate evidence, bribe witnesses, use their influence to sway the outcome. Understanding this is going to help you tremendously because you will prepare. And then when you go to present, you can say, I expect that this is going to be your argument. And here's why your argument has no merit. And you can shoot it down before they even bring it up. So powerful. Making that transition between summer and fall is always a crazy thing. And that's why I love having a leather jacket, like my gorgeous one from Quince. And they have timeless and high quality items, which I love. And they don't blow my budget, which I also love. They have cashmere sweaters and washable silk tops. And everything is like 50 to 80% less than other brands, which I also love. They cut out the middleman. They pass the savings on to us, which is also amazing. It's safe and ethical, which I also love. I really love my brown leather jacket from them. It's super stylish and it's high quality. Just love that. So make switching seasons a breeze with Quince's high quality closet essentials. Go to quince.com/negotiate for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/negotiate to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/negotiate. By the end of this video, I'm going to give you 5 ways to make sure that you beat a narcissist in court. So you're going to want to make sure you stay till the end. You're going to want to make sure that you save this video. You're going to want to make sure you share it out. You're going to want to make sure that you go ahead and watch it over and over again, because I'm going to give you all the ways to make sure that you beat a narcissist in court. Okay. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to remember the acronym, knock them dead. All right. So DEADD. So 2 Ds, but DEADD, knock them dead. So the first D stands for document everything. And I mean everything. You know, you're going to want to journal everything. You're going to want to document everything. In my Slay program, I actually have 12 different things that you're going to want to be documenting, but you're going to want to document everything with regard to finances, to your children, if you have children, anything that they do that seems out of the ordinary. I know it's a pain, but you know, if you have a notes app or something, just note it because you're not going to remember. But you know, even if it's crazy, oh, I don't know if I should write that down, but you know, you just never know. And there's many different ways that these things come into play. So you will want to make sure that you document everything, whether it's a business case or a family law case, or it's against a business partner, maybe it's a case against an employer or something like that. It always is something that you're going to need to be doing is documenting. Whether it's a timeline form, you end up needing it for the statutes to prove different elements of a statute. You definitely need documentation. I also have a podcast where I ended up interviewing one of the people who use my Slay for Biz program, Sharon Scott. I highly recommend that you check that out because she talked about how she used my program and it really helped her a lot. So definitely document everything. The next thing is the E, emotions. Keep them in check. You're definitely going to want to keep your emotions in check. There's so many different reasons that you want to keep your emotions in check. I mean, for one thing is that they want to trigger you constantly. They love to see you squirm. So they get supply from it. And you really don't want to give them narcissistic supply, obviously, because that's no fun. I mean, they just get the satisfaction of seeing you go crazy, right? I mean, why do you want to do that? But then the next thing is that they use your reaction against you. They go, look, there's the crazy one. There's the one that's the problem. And they will use that against you in a number of ways. They use the emails against you, the texts against you. They may even be videotaping against you. They use the witnesses against you, whatever it is. So definitely keep your emotions in check. They use it for custody, so many different things. So definitely E, keep your emotions in check. And it doesn't help you when you're negotiating either if you're all over the place when it comes to settlements, because then you end up settling for things that you regret 2 months down the road, 3 months down the road. You're like, I didn't want to settle for that. Because a lot of times you're like, oh, I just ended up settling for that because I just wanted it to be done. I just wanted it to be over with, or maybe you were just feeling pressured. You know, really try to keep your emotions in check. And by the way, if you're really struggling with that, because a lot of times when you've been dealing with a narcissist for a long period of time, you are in a trauma state, especially PTSD sometimes. I do have a partnership with BetterHelp. You can go to betterhelp.com/Rebecca Zung. I do receive commissions on that. It doesn't cost you anymore. We have a partnership with them because I wanted to have a partnership with a service that we could trust, that we could recommend. If you are struggling, go to betterhelp.com/Rebecca Zung so that you can get the help and support that you need if you're having trouble with your emotions and you're having trouble with trauma. So that's the E. The next one is always wear the white hat. That's the A. Always wear the white hat. And what do I mean by that? I mean by that in that you want to be the one, if you end up in front of the judge, which that's what this is about, you want to be the one where the judge is like, hey, this is the person that obviously is the good one. Let the narcissist be the one who's badly behaving. A lot of times it's so easy to fall into, hey, they're behaving badly. They're doing things wrong. They did it too. I can do it too. What happens though is then you have a situation where the judge is just like seeing like two kids that are fighting. So for those of you who are out there watching who have children and you have more than one, what happens is they just are like, oh, both of you just stop it. You know, they don't see that, oh, well, they started it or they're worse. They just see two people who just are fighting. So you want to be the one who's consistently not being in the mud with the other one. Because if you are the one who's what I call always wearing the white hat, who's not engaging, who didn't respond, who didn't get into it, and the other one is always the one who's constantly the badly behaved one, then it makes it really, really obvious who is the bad one. And it's kind of hand in hand with keeping your emotions in check, but it's even one step much, much further than that. You really, really want to be the one who's just always behaving, always doing the right thing. So just kind of imagine that the judge is sort of walking around with you and watching every single thing that you're doing. Always wear the white hat. That's the A. All right. So the next one is don't go anywhere alone. That's the D, the first D in Knock 'em Dead. And we're going through all the elements of what to do to beat a narcissist in court. So, you know, this is because they're going to say you followed them, you did this, you did that. They lie all the time. So they're constantly going to be saying that you were menacing, that you were threatening, that you did this with the kids, or that you touched somebody inappropriately, or whatever it is that they make up constantly. And then you end up having to defend against these ridiculous claims. So you want to make sure that you have people around as much as you possibly can. If you have children, for example, have your exchanges for custody at daycares, at schools, you know, at shopping plazas or places where people are around, because you just don't want situations where they can make things up about what's going on. And in that same vein, by the way, you're going to want to make sure that even depositions are videotaped if possible. And I have actually a whole video on how to be a narcissist in mediation. I talk about that in there, and you should definitely check out that video as well, because a lot of you who are trying to beat a narcissist in court are also mediating with a narcissist, and you should definitely check out that video as well. And I also do have a whole video where I interviewed Judge Lynn Toller. You guys should definitely check out that video too. She was the judge on divorce court for 17 years, and her video interview was very, very highly fascinating. So definitely check that out too. And if you guys are so ready to knock them dead, put knock them dead in the comments, because I'm so ready to help you knock them dead. And if you've been following along with how to beat a narcissist in court, and you've been following along with my acronym, you know there's one more D. The last D is decoys. It stands for decoys. And what I mean by decoys is you really do not want to give them your best offer, or give them any of your best evidence, or show them any of your cards, or show them any of your hands until you're ready to unveil it in court, or when you're ready. I mean, a lot of times while you're standing on the courthouse steps, or even at lunch during the trial, they want to settle, they're ready to have settlement talks, or even maybe the eve before trial or a couple of days before, they're ready to have some settlement talks at that point or something. And you might be ready at that point as well, but you've got to have your strategy, your leverage, have anticipated, your focus on you, your position, that being on the offensive, my whole slay methodology. At that point, you do not give them your best offer. You do not show your best evidence. You decoy the whole thing until you are so ready to go. Basically, the way I look at it is you're building an invisible fence around them until you turn on the lights and they realize, oh my God, I'm totally pinned in. At that point, they have no choice but to resolve the issue with you or resolve the issues with you. So you're appearing weak, you're feigning ignorance, you know, oh, I don't know, I have no idea. Let them think that they're winning. Let them go all crazy on you. Allow them to go off. A lot of times that's good for you. It's hard, I know, because you don't want them to get away with anything a lot of times during the case. But sometimes if you have an ongoing case, it's good to let them screw up, because those little battles that show that they're screwing up help you to demonstrate to the judge who they actually are. So let them do that, you know, because then you can show patterns that they aren't doing what they're supposed to do, show patterns that they're liars, show patterns that they are bad parents or terrible with money or whatever it is that you need to show. It actually ends up helping you in the end, or that they have anger issues or whatever it is. So that definitely helps you. Sometimes it's really, really good to feign that you're weak, feign that you're ignorant. A lot of times, by the way, you can pretend like there's a particular thing that you really, really want, and it's not the thing that you really, really want, because then, you know, they go after that, you know, because they're going to go after the thing that they think that you really, really want, right? So let them go after that particular thing. Now, if you're getting ready to go to court with a narcissist, whether it's divorce court or otherwise, you're going to want to be fully prepared, and you're definitely not going to want to walk in without having the best possible strategies and tactics at your fingertips, because this is going to be no cakewalk. The narcissist is going to make it as difficult for you as possible. So stay tuned and listen to the end so that you can get all the tips and you'll be all ready to go. All right, number one is have everything that's possible to be in writing, because narcissists by their nature are pathological liars. So they are going to lie about things that you said, you didn't say, conversations that took place or didn't take place, what they said or didn't say, whatever it is, it's going to be twisted, it's going to be manipulated. So you want to make sure that you can keep everything in writing to the extent that that's possible. So, and ideally it would be like in an email or something like that, where you actually have the timestamp on it, you have the date stamp on it, you have the email, who it came from, the email address of who it came from, who it went to, that sort of thing. Text messages are admissible in court nowadays, but it's just a little bit more difficult to authenticate them when it comes to evidence in court. So it is better if you can do it via email if possible. The other problem with text messages is that they tend to go away after a certain period of time. And especially if you don't save them, it's really difficult to go back and find them. The phone companies don't even really keep them either. So you're definitely going to want to make sure that you use email if possible. If you're co-parenting, having a co-parenting app such as Talking Parents or Fair or Our Family Wizard, something like that is always a good idea too. I mean, the bottom line is that they're going to try to get you away from this writing. They don't want to be in writing because they know that it will box them in, and narcissists don't want to be boxed in. So they're going to do whatever they can to get you to meet with them,
to go against what you said before, things like that. They're just, let's just meet. We don't need the writing. We don't need all these other people around us. Let's just meet at Starbucks or whatever. And the reason why they're doing that is to get you into a place where they can manipulate you again. So by keeping everything in writing as much as possible, you can minimize that problem. Now, what the flip side of this, by the way, is for you to remember that every single writing is a potential trial exhibit. So if you don't want to see it again, then don't put it in writing. The way I just say it to people is, just imagine the judge is leaning over your shoulder and watching you write that text or that email. And before you hit send, say, Judge, Your Honor, is this something that you would want to see? And if it's not, then you don't want to send it. Okay, the second thing that you're going to want to do is use video for depositions. And the reason why you're going to want to do this, and yes, it's a little bit more expensive. You have to pay for the court reporter. Now you have to pay for the videographer. But it goes back again to boxing that narcissist in. If you box them in enough, then they will act like the spoiled temper tantrum child, and their true colors will show up, and you'll be able to use that against them down the road. So, but just trying to control their behavior using video will definitely help, because if you don't use video, what they tend to do is do things that don't show up on the record, meaning the court reporter will take down everything that's actually said in the deposition. When you look at the deposition transcript, it'll just say question, blah, 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 answer, blah, blah, blah. There's nothing around it. There's no description given around it. So if that narcissist is giving you dirty looks, making faces, all the things that they do, and they do, then nothing is taken down. Now, for me as a lawyer, there have been many times where I've had to say, let the record reflect that so-and-so is making faces at so-and-so. But, how many times can the lawyer do that over and over again without just constantly interrupting the deposition? So by videoing it, you actually see how they're responding and how they're acting. Plus, it makes them behave a little bit better because they're a little less likely to be a complete jackass if there's a video shining in their face. If this is all sounding really good to you so far, put a thumbs up in the comments. Okay, number 3 is focus on your own case. So this is one of the biggest mistakes that I see lawyers make. I see lots and lots of people make, because it's just natural to want to focus on what's the other side doing and all of their flaws and all of their mistakes, and how is he or she getting away with this, and look at how badly they're behaving, and isn't the judge going to see that? And the answer is maybe and probably, and yeah, you will want to bring out all of the other bad behavior of the other side. But, just like in football, if all you have is a good defense and you have no offense whatsoever, then you never score any points, right? So you want to make sure that your case is as strong as possible. Focus on your case. Make sure that the facts and the supporting documentation and everything is done to create your case and make sure it's super strong. And then for the other side, you create that leverage to help motivate them into wanting to come to the table to potentially have a settlement conversation with you. Or, you have all the points that make them look bad. Yes, anything that shoots their credibility. When people say, oh, how are they getting away with this? They're lying all the time. How are they getting away with this? So the thing I want you to remember, here's a good reality check for you, and that is, who would stop them from getting away with something? The only person who has any power over another human being in the court system is the judge, not the lawyers, not you, not family members. No one has the power to order someone to do anything other than the judge. And how do you get in front of the judge? Through motions, through hearings, through trials, things like that. Things have to be filed in the court system, and then you have to have a hearing bring it to the judge's attention, and only at that point can you potentially rein in their behavior. But while you're waiting for that time to get in front of the judge, you're just documenting, you're keeping track, keeping track, keeping track. So that's how you're building your case. If you're dealing with a child custody situation, for example, and the person just never shows up to get the kids, or they show up late, or they constantly change the time, you just document it, document it, document it. And then when it comes time to present that to the court, you have a nice log of exactly what happened and when, what time did they show up, what time did they leave, you know, all of that. So eventually it will work in your favor. But just remember that you want to keep track of your own case and make sure that that is bolstered as much as possible, and then highlight the weaknesses of the other person as well. Okay, number 4 is what I started to allude to in number 3, which is document, document, document. And I cannot stress this enough. Keep really careful notes. Have an app open on your phone. Have a journal, a log, whatever you need to do so that wherever you are, real time, you can be logging what's happening. And I have won entire cases on these types of logs. Let me tell you, they do work. It is critically important. So make sure that you're documenting, because what you're doing is you're slowly closing in on your narcissist from every angle. It's you know, this is war. This is the art of war. And so you're building these tactics, and you're closing in on them from various different angles. And it doesn't look like you're doing much until you've got them fully surrounded. And that's when you realize, hey, I have them. And only then is when they're going to want to start to have a conversation with you about potentially settling the case, and not having to go to court, because you know that the main thing about a narcissist is that they don't want to look back. I have a lot more on this in my videos on how to negotiate with a narcissist and how to negotiate with the narcissist X, and I will drop links below to those videos. You'll definitely want to check those out. Okay, number 5, definitely do very thorough research. Have everything ready to go. Do you need appraisals? Do you need valuations? Do you need a forensic accountant? Do we need to figure out what the person's true income is by looking at their bank records? Do we need to figure out a lifestyle analysis by looking at credit card statements and bank statements and things like that? Everything needs to be ready to go, all I's dotted, all T's crossed. Don't leave any stone unturned. Don't leave anything to winging it, because whenever your weaknesses are, wherever there's that weakness in your case, that's where they're going to find you, and that's where they're going to jam their foot in and open that door and make it into a big, huge thing. So also, in being prepared, you're going to want to make sure that you do all the research for the other side. What are they going to argue? What points do they have against me? What leverage do they have against me? And then be ready to answer that. I anticipated this argument, and here's my response. Because if you're only prepared for your side, then you are only half ready to go. So make sure that you are ready for both sides, as if you're preparing for both sides. And one word about leverage, by the way, is make sure that once you've got that leverage, you use it at the most opportune time. Do not give it away too early. Do not show it to them before you get to court, because you want to use it when you need it. All right, so the last one, number 6, is to keep your emotions in check. And this is going to be one of the hardest things to do, because narcissists know how to push your buttons and they know how to manipulate you. So they're going to make faces, they're going to make little snarky comments, they're going to say things under their breath. And, you know, so I would totally avoid making eye contact with them in the courtroom. It's not going to serve you. Just look at the judge. When you're testifying, just look at the judge. Make sure that you've practiced your testimony I, as an attorney, go over my direct testimony with my clients. If your attorney doesn't do that as a matter of course, ask your attorney to do that with you, or ask them for the questions and have somebody else practice it with you. You want to just be able to at least control the parts that you can control, which is your direct testimony. You should basically know what those questions are going to be. Your attorney will be asking you those questions, and be ready with what you're going to say so that you're not stumped and you're not feeling nervous and anxious. You know exactly, okay, this is that question. Here's how I planned to respond to it. I mean, of course, you're going to answer truthfully. You just want to be prepared on how you're going to word your answers, how you're going to say it, what things you want to make sure to get in, what things you want to make sure to say, things like that. So, so that's your direct testimony. Now, as for your cross-examination, you should also see if your lawyer, I know I usually do this as a matter of course. I tell my clients what to expect for cross-examination too. I even sometimes get another lawyer in my office to do a mock cross-examination with the person and sort of beat them up a little bit, just so that they're ready. You know, the kinds of questions that I would ask under cross-examination, something like that. So the more you can be prepared, the less emotional you will be, the less anxious you will be.
How do you get them to comply? This is a really critical issue if you're dealing with narcissists or anybody who seems like a narcissist or they're just a high conflict individual, especially in legal settings. So let's understand the challenge. You're dealing with a narcissist, you get that court order, you finally win. Oh, going to be good now, right? You go to great lengths to get that thing in place. It's expensive to get there. Judge gives it to you. Now it's frustrating because what has happened? They are defying, right? So let's say you got a child support payment. They don't pay, or maybe they only pay part of it, or they just pay late. So maybe they say they don't have the money. The goal is to frustrate you, exert control over you. That's the point. They get supply from that. They enjoy it. They're sadistic. The first thing is that you want to make sure that any of these orders are very clear, very specific, because if they're nebulous in any way, they're going to find the loopholes, right? So it's very, very, very critical that court orders are very clear, very specific, and especially if there's some kind of an agreement that you guys wrote yourselves, and then you go and you turn it into the court and have it turned into a court order, and the court just says, okay, here's your agreement. I'm just going to ratify this and make it into a court order. And you guys just said, we're agreeing that, you know, it's going to be whatever and whatever, you know, like we're just going to see the kids whenever we want. And it's just going to be, you know, a free exchange or whatever. Courts can't enforce that. What are they enforcing? You know, it has to be very clear that I get the kids from Friday at 3 o'clock till Sunday at 2 o'clock, and he didn't bring them back. Okay, because then the courts can go, okay, what am I enforcing? Well, it was Sunday at 5 and then they didn't have them. So you need to have everything clear and specific. Vague, ambiguous language is easy for a narcissist to manipulate, and they will. So if it says reasonable visitation, it's going to be interpreted whatever way they want. And it leaves way too much room for a narcissist to exploit. Instead, push for a specific schedule that says exact times, exact locations. Visitation will occur every Saturday from blah to blah. And here's where the exchange is going to take place, on this corner or at this home. Who's going to drive? Because if you don't put in who's driving from where to where, then you're going to end up doing all the driving. Financial matters, instead of saying reasonable support or whatever, it has to say exact amount monthly, how it's going to get paid. Get an income deduction order if you can, if you're worried that a person is not going to pay. Make sure it gets taken directly from their check if possible. The other thing that you can do is you can say they're going to pay it directly to you, but if they miss a payment or they miss two payments and you have to go back, then whoever defaults has to pay both sides fees. That way you have to deal with that. Don't have prevailing party language in there, because when is it prevailing? Default language. And then the other thing you can do is say, if they had this problem with paying, then immediately you get the income deduction order without having to go and ask for it again, blah, blah, blah. Documentation is the next thing you want to have. Documentation is key. Documentation is your best friend when dealing with a narcissist. I always say every time they do something they're not supposed to, then you say, thank you for the gift. Oh, there they go. They were late on something. Thank you for the gift. You write it down, because that becomes a pattern that you get to show over time is something that they hate. Oh, why are you writing everything down? You have to write it all down. You keep your little journal over there. They're going to mock you. They're going to cajole you. And you're going to just go, thank you for the gift. Don't tell them thank you for the gift. One of my high conflict negotiation coaches said, oh, I told them thank you for the gift. Don't tell them thank you for the gift, okay? You just say that to yourself, all right? You just keep a detailed record at all times of all interactions, dates, times, the nature of it. Okay, thank you, thank you. All right. They fail to show up, they fail to pay. Note it, write it down, and you keep receipts, you keep proof of payments. All right, there you go. And you just can summarize it down the road with your supporting documentation right behind your summary. Then that's when you can leverage the legal support that you need. That's when you bring in whatever attorney, but you want to make sure you've got one that understands the way that it needs to be presented. Okay, so that's where, in my SLAY program, I have questions for vetting attorneys. I give you a little packet, make my attorney my ally, all of the things, because you want to make sure that you've got somebody who can help you present it in a way that's, okay, this is your game changer. Here's how you can craft it, your ironclad court order. The minute they are late, you can go, here you go, non-compliance. And then the law may provide sanctions for you. Ask for sanctions. Tell them it needs to be enforced. There needs to be compliance here. Maybe there's sanctions. Ask for those if possible. And then use that court system to your advantage. Don't let it go by. A lot of times people let contempt go by. Oh, they haven't paid in so long. And they think that they've gotten away with it. It's really, really important that you manage your own emotional and psychological well-being, because they use this to their advantage. They bait you, they trigger you, and then by pushing your buttons and creating chaos, then they use your reactions against you. If you've seen it, put I've seen it in the comments below, and then they use it against you. And that's when chaos can ensue even more. So you want your attorneys to be filing the motions for contempt, the motions to enforce, all the things that need to happen. But you're, in the meanwhile, making sure you're laying the foundation. You are creating that leverage. And then that's how you're going to get them to comply with those court orders once and for all. You want strong penalties. There can even be jail time, depending on the type of court order it is. Child support, things like that, support orders. Jail time can even be some of the sanctions that are attached to it for non-compliant parties, which can be a strong deterrent. But you've got to practice mindfulness, practice emotional regulation techniques to stay calm, focused, and grounded, because that's how they get you. So you want to have a strong support network in place. Join my free private Facebook group, Narcissist Negotiators. Get my free Crush My Negotiation prep worksheet to get started. winmynegotiation.com. That will help you surround yourself with people who understand your situation, who can offer emotional support. This might be friends, family, support groups for dealing with narcissists. If you've ever had to deal with this, let us know. I would love to know what strategies worked for you, what tools worked for you. Just make sure, once again, that you've got clear language in your orders, that you've got default language in there, that you are filing things right away, that you're documenting everything, that you are getting a lawyer that understands your situation, that you are practicing your own mindfulness. All really good stuff to help you, because this is going to make sure that you do what you need to do to get them. And that's what you want. Because the most important thing is that you get out of this situation, move forward, know that you are whole, know that you are complete, know that you were born for more, you were born for greatness, you were born for power, you were born to help others. Be the best person that you are meant to be. You're not meant to be mired in this crazy chaos. So be able to put this shield around you and be in your light and not be in this chaos. So out of chaos comes clarity, right? So, and with the right strategies and the right support, you can ensure compliance with the court orders and protect your peace, protect your peace of mind. We're diving in today to the jaw-dropping topic of, you won't believe these courtroom tactics that narcissists use. So let's get into it. Well, they will go into great lengths to win using underhanded strategies that can leave you feeling blindsided, especially if they've started off by saying, hey, let's do this. Let's make this fair. We don't want to use lawyers. Who wants to pay lawyers, right? They will blame you once it all goes sideways. The thing with narcissists is that the cases are likely to last 3 times as long, cost 4 times as much, and you're over there going, why is this happening? It's all about coal level supply, my friend, what I call coal level supply. Diamond level supply is how they look to the world. It's their reputation. Coal level supply is manipulating you. It's that making themselves feel good by pushing you down. It's an addiction for them. So the first thing that they will do is engage in using the court system as a sword, because once that discard phase comes into play, then that smear campaign comes into play. And now they can use that court system as a sword to come and get you. So they will use the court to file all kinds of crazy things. They will file false pleadings and false accusations to discredit you and try to gain sympathy from the court, from the judge. They might falsely accuse you of abuse, of neglect, hoping to sway the court's opinion in their favor. I mean, I've seen people accuse people of false allegations, of file false injunctions, false allegations of child abuse, child molestation, all kinds of really bad things. I mean, it's horrible what can happen. So make sure you keep detailed records of your interactions, collect witness statements, and any other documentation that can support your case. I always say, when you're dealing with a narcissist, anything you do or say can be used against you. It's like getting arrested. The next thing they will do is play the victim. They are adept at playing the victim to manipulate the court and anybody else that's involved, not just the court, but lawyers, guardians ad litem, child advocates, the people who are doing an evaluation, anybody that's involved. They want to look like they're the victims and you are the perpetrator. Paint you as the villain. If it's a professional setting, the narcissistic coworker might cry and claim to be bullied by you. despite evidence to the contrary. So maintain your composure, present clear, factual evidence that demonstrates the true nature of the relationship. Focus on the facts, not emotions, to counter their manipulative narrative. The next thing is noncompliance with court orders. They believe they are above the law, so they will ignore court orders. The first thing that'll happen is you will see that the court will oftentimes immediately send out a court order as soon as cases are often filed, saying that, assets aren't allowed to be moved or things like that. And of course, the first thing that they do is, move assets, hide assets. They blatantly ignore court orders, causing delays, causing frustration, causing fees to be incurred. A narcissistic business partner might refuse to comply with court order disclosures. Instead of 12 months of bank statements, you'll see 1 month is missing or certain pages are missing. It's very frustrating. What's frustrating about that is oftentimes what will happen is, you have to pay a paralegal to go through the bank statements. You can't just file a motion to compel. Many times there are requirements that you make a good faith attempt to try to resolve it. And then you have to send so you have to send letters back and forth saying, these are what's the pages that are missing or whatever's missing. And then you have to then go put together the motion to compel, which is then costs more money. And then you have to file that motion, and then you have to go set it for hearing. And then you have to prepare for the hearing. And then, what will happen is the night before the hearing, then maybe they'll send over everything after you spent all the money, because then they know that they're asking for, you're asking for fees at that point. By the time you then go ask for fees, they might say, oh, well, you already got everything. You don't need anything at that point. By the time you get in front of a judge, you might say, well, but it took me all this to get it. So a judge might not really see what your plight is at that point, and that can be very, very frustrating. I want to know if you guys so far, is this resonating with you? Give me a for sure in the comments. If you guys are definitely seeing this, give this video a thumbs up if you guys are totally getting this. And I'd love to hear your thoughts and experiences so far. Drop a comment to get the conversation going. And also, if you need more help, definitely get my free Crush My Negotiation Prep Playbook. It has helped really thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of people win their negotiations. You can get that at winmynegotiation.com. It's a totally free resource packed with tips and strategies for you. So make sure you get that so you can get the upper hand in your negotiations and maintain your composure. The next thing is filing frivolous motions. They file frivolous motions, meritless motions, harassing motions, just to overwhelm you, just to drain you, drain your resources, hoping that you will give up. And this is in, a workplace situation or a divorce, whatever, it doesn't matter. The thing that you want to make sure that you do is work closely with your attorney and make sure that you recognize these patterns so that you can get out in front of this. Okay. The other thing that they will do is manipulate witnesses. They will try to manipulate witnesses so that you try to get witnesses to lie for them or withhold crucial information. They might try to intimidate these people. You want to make sure that you prepare people thoroughly and talk to them, cross-examine them, effectively expose any inconsistencies, expose any lies. You're going to find out who they've been talking to, and you will figure out where the holes are in their case for sure. Keep a detailed timeline of events and all related documents. In my programs, I provide all of the frameworks for you, all of the templates, everything for you so that you have all of this, because so important to have everything that you need. Make sure you just stay organized. That's the important thing. Stay organized, document everything, Keep a detailed timeline. Keep all of your documents organized. Keep yourself together. Stay supported. Stay supported emotionally as well with, have a good support system around you. Join my free Facebook group, Narcissist Negotiators with Rebecca Zung. That will help you as well, because this is going to be the fight of your life. But on the other side of this, you will be stronger than ever, because they're like 2-year-olds having a tantrum. They're definitely going to be the worst right before they give up. And then on the other side of this, you are going to be authentically powerful. You're never going to not be able to see who a narcissist is ever again. And then you're going to be able to help people on a deep level after this. If you're in a court battle with a narcissist, they will try to get you to settle early because they're going to make it look like they want it to be amicable. They'll say that you don't need a lawyer, and they try to get you off to the side. They try to get you to settle early, make it look like they're on your side, but it's really just a ploy. And when that doesn't work, then they just start right into playing dirty. They will lie in pleadings and ignore court orders. The next thing to watch out for during court battles with a narcissist is that they will threaten you with things that are totally false and have no basis in fact or law. Don't be scared. I mean, really, just do your fact checking. Even if you can't afford an attorney all the time, by the way, maybe use an attorney just to consult with sometimes, because a lot of times it's just scare tactics. So that's the third thing to look out for during court battles with a narcissist. Don't be afraid. So many times after people have done their initial consultations with me, they've been like, oh my God, I feel so much better, because they just realize they're just trying to bully them. And the fourth thing to look out for during court battles with a narcissist is they manipulate evidence. They will manipulate text messages. They will manipulate photographs. This is why, by the way, I say to use one form of communication, and I really prefer it to be email or a court-approved app, because they're less likely to be manipulated, and they do have a time and date stamp. So that's the fourth thing to look out for during court battles with a narcissist. And then number 5, the fifth thing to look out for is that they will use the court system as a sword. They will use the court system as a sword. They will file false motions. They will file false pleadings, or it doesn't even have to be false, by the way. They can just file this crazy stuff just to make your life miserable, just to generate paperwork, just to push the attorney's fees up, just to make it expensive, just to try to push you into wanting to settle, just to try to get you back into what the first thing that I said, get you to settle for something less than what you're entitled to, because you're just dead tired, or, you just feel like you can't go on anymore because they've basically bullied you into it. So that's the 5th thing to look out for during court battles with a narcissist. And then the 6th thing to look out for is lining up those flying monkeys, that smear campaign, using other people against you, lining up other people against you, including the children. Unfortunately, that is something that they will try to do. But if you know early on that this is going to be coming, that this is going to be happening, you can get ready. You can start to get your leverage ready. You can start to get your strategy ready, and you can win, because they are liars and they're lazy and they do leave a trail behind them. And because they are one-trick ponies as far as needing that narcissistic supply, while they're horrible and heinous to deal with, you definitely can come up with a strategy and the leverage, and you can anticipate what they're going to do, so that you absolutely can win with the right framework. You absolutely can win every single time. So you have to have the right mindset, though. The best lawyers can't help you if you don't think that you can win. And whatever strategy you have, the best leverage you have, if you don't feel like you can win, then nobody can help you. So, you have to have everything put together, organized the right way, and documented the right way. So that's what I help you do with my Slay program.